Okay guys, I've been playing around with the Note 8 for 3 or 4 days now, and I wanted to give you my unbiased opinion what I think about the phone, especially compared to the iPhone 7 Plus that you can see on the right. Well, basically looking at the 3 in comparison, just looking really where Android has gone in the last 3 years. This is a 3-year-old phone now, coming up to 3-year-old I should say. You can see the UIs are very similar. They're both running the same version of Android. You can see the drop-down menus are the same. When you pull down from the menus, go into settings. You can see basically a 3-year-old phone and a phone that's bang up to date, basically running the same software. And to be honest, turn this one up brighter. Okay, that might be too bright for the screen, but we'll have a look in a minute. The two devices running the same version of Android, same skin from Samsung, both pretty snappy. And to be honest, 3 years in between the two, the only real reason to upgrade with any phone, not just Android, is iPhone as well, to be honest, is if you're going to get new features. Now, with the S series and the S Pen, the Note series has always been a good phone. So far, I'm liking what I see on the Note 8. I'm not over keen on a couple of things on the build. The sensor for the fingerprint sensor on the back works really well. Really fast implementation of using the fingerprint sensor, but an awful position for it to be in. TouchWiz, the UI TouchWiz, Samsung really needs to get a grip and sort of either ditch and go pure Android and add their features on top, or get the jitter out of it. I've had this phone a few days now. It's no real slowing up and jitteriness in the phone itself, but I do notice, especially when scrolling on web pages compared to the iPhone, that there is some definite jitter. The iPhone here, the iPhone 7 Plus, is a year old now, and to be honest, it performs quicker and smoother than the Note 8. That said, it's horses for courses. If you're in the Android camp and you just want one phone, at this particular moment in time, there's no better phone out than the Note 8. It seems to be the flagship Android device at the moment. A lot of features on there, really useful. Google Assistant works flawlessly. You can send messages, WhatsApp messages and whatever, straight from your phone via voice without even unlocking the phone, so it can be sat on the side. You can just send it from there. There are a few caveats, like I say, that I'm not keen on, like the fingerprint sensor. I'm not overly keen on the squarish corners, although I see the aesthetics now. It works with the screen design they've got. The AMOLED panel is absolutely stunning, like all Samsung panels. They've always had amazing panels. This is the same resolution panel on the S6 from a few years ago. Build quality wise, I can't really knock the build quality on it. To me, it's well built. A few different things that I did see when I first started playing with it. I hate the fact that it's still got a mono speaker on the bottom and it's not got stereo speakers. In this price range, it should have a stereo speaker to give you a bit of sound quality, although you do get the decent in-ear earbuds provided in the box. Other little things, the tray on the top, the SIM tray and microSD tray combined, when you take that out, it's flimsy and plasticky. You go to the original Samsung, when you take the SIM tray out, it's a nice aluminium SIM tray. Same on the iPhone, it's all aluminium build. The shiny glass build on it, I'm not over keen on again. I would have preferred, although it's very difficult to do that with glass, but I would have preferred some sort of texture finish or a more matte finish on it. It's a definite fingerprint magnet, gets fingerprints crazy on the front and the back. Obvious solution would be to put it in a rocket in a case and put a screen protector on the front of it. I tend to have most of my phones naked in a sleeve or that type of case. As you see, I've just got a very thin gel case on the 7 Plus. Thickness, as opposed to the 7 Plus, it's a little bit thicker, nothing really. A little bit longer in height, 5mm higher. Like I say, it's horses for courses. They both work really well. One thing I do not like about the Note 8 is the battery life. It's just, it should, I know we had the problems last year with the Note 7 going on fire, but it should have a bigger battery. I can have 2 or 3 hours on screen time with the iPhone 7 Plus and be at something like 80%. Same on the Note. If you get into 2.5 hours screen time on this with all the settings whacked right up, I'm getting down to about 50% or even less quite quickly. And a noticeable drop from a full charge. When you have the iPhone fully charged, you can be on it half an hour before it'll even move off the 100% mark. Again, if I had to choose one phone to have and not carry anything else, I probably would stick with the Android phone. It's far more flexible, you can do a lot more on it, the file system's easier to use. Smoothness and ease of use, and in this day and age, for doing everything you want to do, I would prefer the iPhone, purely because everybody's moved on, the needs are different. The way iOS 11's developed now, I've been using this all through the summer on beta and it's on the final Goldmaster. They're both on par with each other. I can see that when you look at the two side by side, the iPhone does look dated with its screen. You've got massive amounts of chin and forehead at the top and side bezels. Go into the Note 8, especially with a black background, it's absolutely beautiful. What I will say is that on the iPhone 7 Plus with a black background, the blacks are inky black. I know we're looking at an LED screen to an OLED screen, and the blacks are notably better on OLED as opposed to standard LED screen. But I would say on the newer generations of iPhones, that isn't so much. Considering this is an LED, the blacks on this, when I just rock it with a black wallpaper, they pretty much melt into the edges and they're not overly visible. You know, in the past, if you use an LED screen, you would see a lot of fading on it, and even when it's on full brightness. The brightness on the S8, again, probably twice the brightness on the iPhone, but in day-to-day use, there's nothing between them. I've taken a couple of videos side by side playing a 4K video. Obviously it won't render in 4K on either device. It's running at 1080p on the iPhone and 2K resolution on the Note 8, and I'll post them straight after this now, so if you keep watching there'll be a video comparison. What I've done, I've actually taken the video off both devices and edit that separately. I've left them running side by side and I'll video it so you can see that the different resolution between the two and see what you think. Not a great deal of difference in the two screen resolutions that I can see. One in that scenario is going to be running, like I say, 2K. They're both whacked up to full brightness and you can compare them. Likewise, I've taken some photographs on both devices. I have to be honest and say that the photographs are slightly better on the Note 8. Video, again, slightly better on the Note 8, but again, slightly more oversaturated on the Note 8 than on the iPhone. Again, look at the videos and look at the pictures that I'll insert during this review. So all in all, it just depends. I mean, reviewers want the latest phone all the time, the latest and greatest. But whichever one you go to, if you're on Android and that's your daily driver, you'll get used to using it. If you come from an iPhone and you go to Android, to start with the first couple of months, there's loads of features you play around with till you get into the gist of it. After that time, you'll go back to using normal features on there. What I will say, notification-wise on Android, you will notice a big difference if you're coming from iOS over to Android. Notifications tend to push through hard and fast, so you won't miss anything on an Android device. An iOS device, you could miss certain notifications that will pop up on a notification sound, I should say, and you'll get a notification on the screen with the little symbol saying how many notifications you've got. You've also got the drop down that comes down that you can get your notifications on. But I would say that on Android you tend to get your notifications, or you don't miss your notifications I should say, as much as you do on iOS. iOS, especially with the latest build, far more integrated than it used to be, but still not as integrated as the freedom that you get on Android. I'll give you a quick example between the two, and we'll turn all the screens off and we'll try it from an off-screen position. Okay Google, open Spotify and play the Travelling Wilburys.
Playing music.
And you can see it's taking me straight to the music app. What I'll do, I'll try that again. I'll pick a particular track. So we'll go back out of that, we'll lock it again, and we'll just clear it out of memory. So I'll get into the multitasking, just make sure we've not got it in memory. Clear all there. I'll turn it off so we're on the off screen. Okay Google, open Spotify and play The End of the Line by the Travelling Wilburys.
Sure.
And we won't play that too long because of copyright, but we'll try the same thing using Bixby. Hi Bixby, open Spotify and play The End of the Line by the Travelling Wilburys.
Looks like I'm not able to do that.
Now the reason I did that is because Bixby is really well integrated into the system. It's great at doing system tasks, but not so good at doing other tasks that Google Assistant is really good at doing. So it just gives you a brief overture of how you can react with it too. Google Assistant really good, even on the S6, which is 3-year-old, just a similar sort of thing. If we go over to the iPhone, hey Siri, play The End of the Line by the Travelling Wilburys on Spotify.
I couldn't find the end of the line in your music.
And you can see that what happens if you try to do it on an iOS device. Basically, if you ask it to play anything, it's just going to search Apple Music and it won't search anything else on the device because the different music applications are sandboxed. Again, when you're using Google on iOS, you can use Google just the same as you can on any other device. The only trouble is on iOS, just to give you an overview, if we unlock that now, it can be on, you've got to be in the Google app. It won't work from any screen. Okay Google, play the Travelling Wilburys on Spotify, The End of the Line. Now you can see they both balked a bit there because of the way I presented the question, but you can see that the iPhone has come up with a web detail. If we come out of that, we go back into it, and we'll come out of that, and we'll go back out of that, and we'll go back into the main Google. Okay Google, open Spotify and play End of the Line by the Travelling Wilburys.
Sure.
So you can see that using Google Assistant is far better on an Android device than using on an iOS device. It still works on iOS just the same, but it just won't integrate with the apps that are already there. What I will say on an iOS device is that it's a much more fluid, smoother overall interface. Again, like I just said, TouchWiz, what you're going to be needing to do on TouchWiz, it'd be great when you get out of the box. You put a couple of 100 apps on TouchWiz and it'll start to slow down. What they've included on TouchWiz is device maintenance tab. You're going to be needing to use this all the time, and probably the best thing to do is set this on one of your screens so you can optimize it all the time, and that will clear everything out. What I found on iOS, my wife's using a 6 Plus, I should say, on our iOS that is now 3 years old, and she's going to get the new iPhone 8 Plus hopefully this weekend. So the 3-year-old device works exactly the same as the iPhone 7 Plus, which is, this one now is a year old, so there's, from the inception of the other one to the date that this one is now, there's a 3-year difference. And to be honest, apart from the extra features, the dual lens on the back, Force Touch and the haptic feedback, there's pretty much no difference. Slight speed bump on this one that you do notice day-to-day use, but when I renewed the 6 Plus and went on to the 7 Plus, to be honest, at the time, there wasn't a massive amount of difference between the two. There's obviously a bit more RAM in this, and it's a bit faster. So there you go, guys, a quick overview of the iPhone and the Galaxy Note 8. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and subscribe, and ask me any questions and I'll give you a straight answer. And thanks for watching.